Do you know that amazing feeling that you get whenever you visit a place that you haven't been in years? Or when you're listening to a song and suddenly realize that you've heard that song before years ago. You used to love that opening back in the day when you were a kid. Or maybe your parents always played it in the car whenever you went on vacations together. Memories are unlocked and you are transferred to a time where, at least for those couple of seconds, you are the happiest person in the world. Without getting into spoilers, Fear and Beyond: A Journey's End, it's all about rejoicing in these little moments. It's a story about a group of heroes that went on an adventure to save the world and what happens after they've succeeded. Imagine that you have the main trilogy of The Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and The Return of the King, and these epic adventures that lasted years were all just the prologue to the main story. Beyond: A Journey's End has our protagonist revisiting cities, towns, meeting old friends, and reliving multiple situations from her previous adventure. These moments are usually complemented by a nostalgic flashback of the first gang, and even though we, as the audience, have never seen the people in these flashbacks, we weren't there in that first time, the show is presented to us in a way that we can't help but feel that we are remembering the best days of our life. This is what experiencing this show feels like. The hype surrounding Frieren is unconventional if you compare it to what makes most modern shows successful. Don't get me wrong, it has action, gorgeous animation, and an awesome, beautiful story, but what makes it truly unique is how they use the power of nostalgia, which we all know it hits like a truck. Just as Frieren learns to cherish her memories and connections the second time around, rewatching the show allows us to experience its depth in a new light, revealing emotions and details that we might have missed the first time. It's a story that invites us to be absolutely present and to appreciate life as we live it. Here is why you must watch Frieren twice. In the very first episode of the show, we see our heroes triumphantly arriving at where their adventure started. They had just saved the world, so the whole capital is celebrating their victory. After being together for 10 years, they finally part ways with the promise of meeting again years after for a meteor shower event. The years go by and the old gang reunites at the established date. They see the meteor shower together, and shortly after, Himmel, the leader of the group and the one who brought all of them together in the first place, dies of old age. They hold a funeral in his name and they bury him. When I was a kid around the age of 7 years old, I had a friend that used to cry so often that our teachers told us to just let him win or treat him differently so that he wouldn't start a tantrum. One day, one of the parents saw him crying, came to him and said that tears had weight to them. People who cried for everything shed light tears. These are weak tears and aren't meant to be taken too seriously. Heavy tears, on the other hand, are backed up by complex feelings and convey a much more powerful emotion. And that's when I learned that heavy emotions were a very rare sight. I tell you all of this because when I think about how I originally felt the first time that I saw the burial scene, current me almost feel like I was disrespectful towards a real person who just lost her best friend. It didn't hit me back then. I had no real empathy. While in my first time watching the show I was intrigued, I now feel devastated for her.
知ろうと思わなかったんだろう。
And it's not just that I know Frieren now after watching the first season, but thanks to the flashbacks, I've sort of gotten to know Himmel as well. And Himmel, well, he's the best.
僕はいつか本物の勇者の剣を手に入れて魔王を打ち倒す。しかし時の流れは残酷だな。あんなことを言っていたハイターは今や酒ばかり飲んでいる偽物の僧侶だ。
本物ですよ。
I can't think of heavier tears than the ones that Frieren sheds in the first episode. She's not just sad because her friend is gone, she's kind of realizing at that moment that they were close in the first place. She had all those years to make the most of it, but now it's too late. It's definitely risky to have one of your most emotional displays right at the beginning. Usually, scenes like these are saved for later episodes when the audience is more invested in characters. Otherwise, people might not get it, they won't relate, and those emotions will miss their landing. In the second episode, we see Frieren cry again. If it's your first time watching the show, you might think, oh, that's 2 episodes in a row. Are these light tears? I guess her character just cries very easily. But if you've already watched first season, you will know that she's not just sad because Haiter is old. It is not just that Fern won't get to say goodbye to him. She's crying because she's remembering Himmel's funeral and all the things that she didn't get to say. The truth is that this sight isn't common at all. In fact, it is so rare that even her longtime friend looks surprised, but all of that is very hard to contemplate if it's just the first time. By this time, we haven't even been told that elves are less emotional than humans by nature. They seldom show remarkable emotion, they don't have romantic tendencies, and the urge of reproduction is barely in their instincts. However, after Himmel's death, Frieren makes an effort to get to know other people. And although she kinda sucks at it, she genuinely tries to connect with others. Influenced by her old friends, she buys people gifts, commands others with physical contact, asks questions, and has other people's interest in mind. For instance, early in the show, Frieren gets fixated on finding a certain type of flower. Since elves have very long lifespans, she has a very different appreciation of time than humans. Weeks are like hours, months are like days, and years are like weeks to her. Fern, on the other hand, is annoyed because they have wasted 6 months looking for that specific flower in the forest. When she finally expresses her frustration, Frieren is actually understanding and considerate.
時間なんていくらでもあるのか。
まあね。でもフェルンが嫌がるから早めに終わらせようか。
変わったな。お前は人の時間を気にするようなやつじゃなかった。
だってフェルン怒ると怖いんだよ。
Conveniently, she had come up with a plan to find a flower, and it's rewarding as when they do, but that was just one example of many. Beyond a Journey's End does a splendid job at making us feel really good for the simplest of reasons. I don't know which one's more hype, watching the scouts buy enough time for Levi to take action, or watching Fern exhibit her recently washed clothing. If you know, you know. For example, Frieren loves collecting grimoires or spells. It's her thing, and despite her being one of the most powerful mages in the world, she cherishes, almost prioritizes mundane spells like those used for cleaning or decorating. She can create a black hole out of one hand, but nope. Her favorite spell is one that creates a field of flowers. She explains that she enjoyed that this simple spell used to make her friends happy back in the day. And that is beautiful, sure, but then we learn why one friend in particular really loved that spell, and suddenly all of those first times become that much more special.
君は僕に花畑を出す魔法を見せてくれた。綺麗だと思ったんだ。生まれて初めて魔法が綺麗だと思った。
Frieren collects magic because she believes that even the most ridiculous spells will help her understand the nature of humanity, their interests, and the things that make humans emotional or thankful. Because she's so emotionally lacking, it makes us, as the audience, appreciate her attempts even more. One of the first spells that Frieren teaches Fern is a spell that turns sweet grapes into sour grapes. On the surface, it might seem random at first, but then we learn that she's doing it because they're about to meet Eisen, one of her old friends, and that is his favorite food. Just look at how happy he gets. And he's not alone. In fact, this cartoony smile is only shown in the moments where Frieren manages to make her friends happy, when she's understanding of their emotions and when she finally gets it right. Relations among characters are beautifully developed, and it's the little moments like these that carry the heart and soul of what makes Frieren so wholesome. There is this phrase that I absolutely hate. These days it has become so popular that it's almost a philosophy to some people. The sentence is, "We were happy and we didn't know it." As the years go by, I hear my friends saying it more often, my mom says it all the time, and I've been seeing it more and more in the internet or popular media.
Now I'm exactly where I want to be. I got my dream job at Cornell, and I'm still just thinking about my old pals. Only now they're the ones I made here. I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you've actually left them.
The reason why I hate this phrase so much is because it implies that your best days are behind you. My mom's version, for example, it feels almost like an excuse. oh well, there's nothing we can do. You know, too bad we didn't know that we were happy back then, but hey, at least we have the memories, right? To me, wiring your mind like this makes you a prisoner of the past. Hence, it prevents you from enjoying the present. In my experience, these people complain so much that they have a hard time seeing everything that they do have. In the film from 2013, About Time, the father of the protagonist tells him that their bloodline has the power to travel back in time.
Tell me. Let's save some time.
I'm sure that we can all think of lots of cool ways of how we would use this power, but at some point in the movie, the father reveals to him the real secret to be happy with that power. He tells him to live every day twice without changing anything, even if it's bad. So, the first time is the same as we all live our lives. Bad things would happen and there's nothing that we can do to change it. Right before going to bed, however, he has to travel back in time and relive that same day without changing anything.
Okay, Dad. Let's give it a go.
But this time, however, his father advises him to simply appreciate the beauty that life has to offer. Since nothing would catch him off guard and there will be no surprises, he would have more time to just contemplate and enjoy his day. In the movie, we see a very shitty day the first time. The second time, however, the same bad things happen. It's still a very shitty day, but his perspective changes. His mood is completely different and he would go to bed feeling happy. It's almost as if his past memories are enhancing his present, and it immediately reminded me to this amazing story. If you're already familiarized with the flashbacks, each episode will shine in a different light. There is beauty in the simplest of things like cleaning up a statue or waiting in a cabin for winter to be over. This is not just true for the characters in the anime, but also for us as viewers watching it for the second time. Frieren is a counter-argument to the previous phrase. It feels like an invitation to just rejoice in the present. It's telling us that our best days are ahead of us, to be happy today and to know it. Allow your memories to enhance your present. Once you realize that things could be so much worse, you begin to realize just how lucky you are and how much you really have. And I get it, I miss the good old days just as much as everyone else, but if there is something that I want you to take away from this video is that we have to be down to make the new days good too. Just like Frieren learns to appreciate her memories and connections the second time around, rewatching the show with all the flashbacks in mind allowed me to experience nostalgia in a different way, but it's just as beautiful. As a little token of my appreciation for making it to the end of this video, I'm going to show you a cool detail about Frieren that you probably didn't know. Watch this scene where Stark is singing a song and let me know if you can recognize the song that he's singing. Here it goes. If you couldn't recognize it, here's an easier version. When I heard this scene, I actually changed the language to English, Japanese, and Spanish, and it turns out that they actually have a different song for all of the languages. These are some of the Easter eggs that the team that made the dub left for us in different languages, and I thought it was pretty cool. I couldn't recognize the version in English or Japanese. It's probably a famous song in those languages, but I love the version of Dragon Ball GT, and I love that I could recognize it, so yeah. Let me know if you can recognize the other ones, and if you enjoy these type of videos, please consider leaving a like or subscribing. I have a lot of content coming up, but you can test me. If you want to see what this channel is about, consider watching this video over here. Is one of my favorites. It will give you an idea of what the channel is about. It's called Rediscover Enjoying Gaming, or How to Beat More Games. And this is whatever YouTube is recommending for you. Have a good one and have an awesome day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.